Hey y'all, it's Amanda, and winter is officially here in the North Texas area. So I wanted to go over what I'm doing to take care of some of my more tender tropical plants. And specifically, I'm talking about plants that really cannot handle freezes. We're going to be looking at dahlias and caladiums, how I dig up those tubers and bulbs, and how I store them over the winter in order to be able to utilize them for next spring. And we're going to be doing some more cuttings of begonias. I've already been working on cuttings. I've had about a 50% success with cuttings so far. Begonias, Swedish ivy. I also did a lot of cuttings of chrysanthemums from a grocery store bouquet. And I've had, about 50% luck with them. Everything's doing pretty good. And there is some more begonias that I'm currently obsessed with that I recently cut back on my front porch, and I want to see if I can make new plants out of those for next season. So let's go ahead and start with getting the cuttings. Okay, so when I'm taking cuttings, I try to take a good amount if I can from the plant. This is the end of the season, so this plant was getting all the way cut back anyway because I was going to be doing some stuff in here. But you can see the beautiful red blooms from both of these begonias, and they are lush, gorgeous, and they were kind of pricey. So being able to take cuttings from these will be a big savings for next spring. Okay, so when I took those cuttings, that was over a week ago. You should work with fresh cuttings. Don't do what I'm doing. So I had tucked my cuttings down into some water. So now I'm going to start pulling them out. And we will cut them back some more just so that we can work with the strongest parts of the plant as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm coming in and I'm going to cut off the ends of them. I'm going to select some long pieces that don't necessarily have any flowers on them. We don't really want the flowers on them because they won't do as well. So we're going to try to step away from that. You can see like this one has flowers right here, so that's going to be a no-go for me. They're going to do better if it doesn't have flowers. This one just has the beginning of a flower, so we'll kind of go ahead and trim that off. And then I'll trim back some of this lower. And I'm really going to try to start a bunch of these because now that I've kind of seen some of my success rate, the 50% success rate, these specifically were more expensive begonias that I purchased. Do you want to show you moments like this? If it looks black or rubbery like that, we don't want that. You want your cuttings to be nice and fresh and healthy. But based off of the success that I have had so far, and these were such expensive ones, I would like to be able to produce more from them if I can. Now, sometimes when you get some of these kind of bigger, longer, more intense stems, we don't necessarily want like really woody, hard stems for the begonias. We want something a little bit simpler. And I'm kind of thinking ahead to my front and back porch. And if this works and I get a whole bunch of begonia plants, beautiful red blooms, I will fill the back porch and the front porch with these. I think it would be so fun and so beautiful. All right, let me bring you in closer so you can see what I'm doing. So like I said, I'm really just kind of going through and observing like what I have, and I'm looking for the best optimal pieces. This one looks really nice and healthy. So I'm not finished with the cuttings yet. I'm literally just trimming them off to thin them out a little bit. See how this has a bunch of slime on it because I left it too long? That one's a no. And I did dig around in the pots to see if there were any potential tubers from these, and there were not. Okay, so I'm going to do my cuttings. I did in little pots last time and some of my seed starting cells. This time I'm going to use some of my Vigo seed starting molds. These aren't anything that I buy anymore. However, I do think that they're really good for cuttings. They have a nice deep channel. They have air vents from the side so that there's more oxygen in the soil. And I think these will look really nice. They also have nice tall lids, which I think will help with the height of my cuttings. So we're going to work with these today. These are my last resort when I'm seed starting, but I'm thinking for cutting, these are going to work out really well. All right, and my soil is already moist, so I'm going to go ahead and just start putting them in to these containers. And I'm kind of lightly packing the soil. Very simply like that. Cuttings are such a fun way to continue gardening through the colder months. And truthfully, as these grow, I'll be able to take more cuttings from these and start more if I want. My family and I are finally going to be able to decorate the Christmas tree tonight. We have been so busy. Oh, I've been talking the whole time without my speaker on. Wonder what that's going to sound like. But we have all been so busy, so I'm excited to all hang out together this evening and get the Christmas tree decorated. Okay, let me bring you in closer to show you what it's going to look like for the cuttings. All right, I'm going to be working with some rooting powder. This powder, it is not required. However, I do think that this helps dramatically with the process. So I highly suggest that you go for it on that. So we're going to be looking at, we want to make sure we get a leaf node that's right here where the node would come, or where a leaf would come out. You want at least one leaf node under the surface of the soil in order for it to create roots. The roots will come directly from the leaf node. Now I am going to cut off this giant particular leaf because it already has a smaller one coming up. There's a little bud on there, and I'm going to take that bud off. And then all I'm going to do is dip it in my rooting hormone, just like that. Then I'm going to use a pen to make a hole and go ahead and push it all the way down in there. Now for this guy right here, I'm going to cut off a little bit more. And then this leaf is huge, and we do not need the plant supporting all of that massive leaf. So I just kind of took that off like there. Like I said, even if I get like 50% of these, that would be amazing. And I'm really trying to push down the stem and get to the bottom of the container if possible. All right, and then I'm going to slide my humidity dome on over gently, working the leaves up into the humidity domes so that I hopefully don't break any stems, just like that. All right, now going on to the next variety of begonia. I think I'm going to end up doing more of these. And once again, we're looking at having at least a couple of leaf nodes underneath the soil. One thing, this one's a little bit easier because it's what am I trying to say? Because its stems are much smaller. I am cutting down some of these leaves a little bit. Okay, so these are all good to go. They are going to slide over into my containers over here. Let me shift some stuff around. They're going to go into these water reservoirs over here, and they will be under the lights for 12 hours a day. And I will basically keep an eye on them. I'm going to keep the domes on them for the time being. I think that with these Vigo ones that it will help that they have slots on the sides of them. I think that'll help with airflow and hopefully not have an issue with fungus or mold and stuff. And that's really the issue that I had with some of my other ones. I didn't remove the lids quick enough and I kept it too moist. So I've added a little bit of water. I won't add any more water for quite a while. And I'll keep an eye on these, and I'll lift these domes daily to allow some of the humidity to dissipate so it doesn't get too intense, and then continue to come and check on them. And the deal with these is like you can start to tug on them, and if they don't easily come up, then they are forming roots, which is like some of these are really in there pretty good. So, which is really exciting. So we'll keep checking on those and I will update those. But if it ends up working, I mean, that's like 30 free plants, which would be amazing. Okay, let's jump over. I went ahead and dug up a whole bunch of dahlias. So let me show you what that's all about. Okay, these dahlias have been in this spot for a number of years, and I've always allowed them to overwinter outside. However, I am going to move them to a different place in the garden for the future. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by cutting back most of the foliage, and then I'm going to use a pitchfork for going in to help lift these. And I'm starting about 6 inches away from the base of the plant, and I'm going to lift from all angles with the pitchfork first before trying to pull them up. The pitchfork works way better than a shovel. A shovel can cut straight through tubers, and so this really works better for it to have less damage. And then once you've loosened it up, you can come in and give a little tug. This is one of the reasons I also like to leave some of the stem on there, because it makes it easier to lift the dahlia. And you can see me go through the process again right here, just making sure that I'm going through, doing a little bit of time. This area right here is all clay. So it's a little bit tougher to get in here and lift up these dahlias, but I will say this was super satisfying to do. I really, really enjoyed it. I don't get to use my pitchfork very often, so it was super fun, and it'll be exciting to plan for the future. And I also had some in some pots, and so I'm pulling those up as well. And then once they're done, I'm going to put them just in here and allow them to cure for a few days. Okay, I like to keep it very simple with the dahlia tubers. I don't like to be overly fussy with them. Dahlias have given me a lot of pain and grief in the past, and I've had success with these particular ones, so I'm going to stick with these. And typically, I would just leave these in the ground and not worry about it. If they come back, that's great. But I'm feeling a little bit more confident, and I'm wanting to be a little bit more budget conscious, as I did like these. So the smaller dahlias, I'm kind of pull them out, give them a little shake, see if there's any aspects that need to be removed. But that's pretty much, let me see if they can be divided at all. I'm not really big on dividing my dahlias very often, but that looks pretty good to me. So they had a couple of days to dry out in the garage. And so basically I'm just going to put them into a cardboard box. Like I said, I'm not real particular with my dahlias. Just going to clean up some of this extra soil. Like I said, they had a few days to dry, and that's pretty much it for me. And then I'm just going to tuck them into this box right here. I don't want too much excess soil. You just give them a good shake, good tap. Gets a lot of it out of there. You could hose them off. I find that that leads to more rotting. I find that this works out best. And then also when I'm working here, if I find any like squishy pods, I can just cut that out. So we don't want anything that's rotting going into the box. So anything that feels soft and no longer healthy, we cut that out. Just like that. Now, when I'm putting them in the boxes, I don't like them to touch each other in the boxes if possible. So you can come and see in here, I'm just kind of removing anything that doesn't feel right. Well, looks like we're just going to separate this into multiple. There we go. This is going to go into multiple. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I like to leave the stems a little bit long on them. It just makes it easier for me to figure out which way is up. And come late winter, I'll get a bunch of these started in pots inside, and we'll be able to see which ones made it before planting out. All right, so we'll see if we can divide some of this out a little bit into some different ones. I did want to also say, by allowing it to just sit a few days in the garage, that also allows any little animals, insects and such, to make their way out somewhere else. And you can tell that this has not been divided in years. One has a lot of compacted clay around it, so we'll do the best you can, but I'm not going to mess with it. Like I said, I'm not going to mess with it too much. So, okay, and that is it in terms of my dahlias. I don't stress about it too much. I don't overcomplicate any of the situation if I can. And they're just going to go over here box is going to be left open. They're still get a good amount of darkness to them. And let me shift some things around. All right, and then they'll be under here, under the window, by the window, which they'll get a little bit of light, not much, but they'll also get a little coolness. They won't get to freezing coolness, which will keep them dormant. And then being open, they won't get moist. Okay, so remember, we allow the tubers to dry out about 3 to 5 days before storing them. Super important, longer if you can. And you want to do that in a cool, dark, dry spot. I did it in my garage, which worked great. We want to store in, you can do a number of things. People do peat moss, wood shavings. I've seen people wrap their dahlia tubers in saran wrap, which I don't understand. Dry cocoa coir, shredded paper. Like I said, what works best for me is just these cardboard boxes. Very simple, already have them, really good airflow. That's what works best for me in my house, my zone. That might not always be the best situation in other places. And then you want to check monthly for rot, remove any soft tubers and shriveling. If they shrivel, you can mist them with a little bit of water. They'll probably be okay once you get them planted up. Like me, I plant mine up. I'll probably plant mine up sometime in February, into February. To get them going, but should work great. Okay, so let's move on to caladiums. I'm going to show you, I'm going to dig some of those up from some of the pots on the back porch. These caladiums were super easy. I just went in, gave them a little tug because they were in pots. If yours are in the ground, you can use the same pitchfork method that I used for the dahlias to pull yours up. I left the stems on these and then brought them inside and allowed them to cure and dry for a few days prior to getting them ready to store. All right, so I really didn't have very many caladiums. So I really just brought them in and allowed them to also cure for a few days. I'm going to cut off all the foliage and toss that. And I can come in here and just kind of work off some of the soil if I want. Like I said, I don't really stress too much about that because I've allowed them to cure, so I'm not real worried about it at all. And caladium bulbs are really small, which is really great and makes it easier for them to store. And you probably noticed by now that I like to store a lot of my stuff like out in the open. Let me find a pot or container. So I'm literally just going to grab one of my green containers that I use for seed starting. And since I don't have very many of these, I'm just going to pop these in, and that's about it. I'm not going to do anything else. They're going to go right by the dahlia tubers and be stored like this until it's time to start them in the spring. All right, so caladiums can be stored in mesh bags, paper bags, shallow cardboard boxes. Very simple containers, works great. You want to keep at about 60 to 70 degrees. They cannot be stored in cooler temps like dahlias. You can store up to 40 to 50 degrees. But for the caladiums, they are very tropical, so they can have to be kept warm, so keeping them inside works great. You can add dry peat moss around them for insulation if needed, if you're going to be putting them somewhere else that's a little more cooler. Mine are staying inside. And then you want to check monthly for rot or dryness and treat them as needed. All right, feeling really good about that, y'all. That's a lot of plants saved for next year. And especially with those bulbs, the tubers and the bulbs, I will be able to start those in February and get those ready for next year, which is super exciting as well. And moving those dahlias, I love those dahlias that I had that were there for so many years, Color Spectacle. But I really want to revamp that area and rethink that area. And those dahlias don't actually bloom. They bloom like once a year, and they take up a lot of space for blooming once a year. So I think moving them to the back portion of the garden, to my cutting gardening areas, would be far better for them. So looking forward to reworking that new space where I just removed those dahlias. All right, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I am still gardening. My gardening looks different at this time of the year. There's lots of things I can do during the winter. I actually really kind of like it because it slows down. I'm inside. I really enjoy it. So I hope you all will follow along with that. If you are on a gardening journey like me and you would like to do that with some gardening friends and really kind of pick up your gardening game for the new year, you can check out my Patreon community. The link is in the video description below. It's a bunch of people who love gardening. We talk about gardening daily. There is a free tier you can join in under, and there is one paid tier called Certified Mad Gardener. And if you become a Certified Mad Gardener, you get access to lives, exclusive videos, group chats, and photo sharing. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.